Good evening and welcome to a new day. My name is Daphne Clarke-Hudson. I'm your host. I'm a life changer. I work with individuals to tap into their authentic selves and by so doing are able to live their lives with purpose and passion. Joining me for this episode is a good friend, Jim Nemley, all the way from New York. So you all are just up for an awesome, awesome, awesome treat. This episode will be devoted to how to effectively run your business. It may be small, it may be medium, and it could even be large. Jim, welcome to a new day, and thanks for taking the time to join us up here in Connecticut.
Daphne, I thank you for inviting me. I tell you, I was coming in here on the traffic, and I thought that New York traffic is supposed to be so infamous. Wow, you guys have us beat, I think.
Yeah, I think we do, but
wow.
I just thank you for pursuing to travel 3 hours. A trip that should have taken you an hour and 40 minutes. It took you 3 hours, and I know you're here because you're so passionate about what you do, and you just want to help our viewers enhance what they're doing. But let us tell them who Jim is.
Well, I'm Jim Nemley, and I'm the CEO of the Better Business Builders. We're business coaches, business trainers. We help provide access to capital. We can work with the small business, whether you're just starting up, and we can help you when you're ready to finish up. We like to say we can take you from the womb to the tomb.
Ooh, that's wonderful. So get your notepads, or push the record button, whatever you have to do, because this is some awesome, awesome information that you will want to have and to just keep, because you'll be able to go back years after to help to enhance what you're doing. Let us talk about the beginning of Jim's life, prior to walking in your true calling and purpose and doing God's work like you're doing now. You did some things before you got here.
Oh, absolutely. Jim's life, that's a lot.
We won't take all of it.
Oh,
but
that's
just,
War and Peace.
We're not going to talk about all of it. Because I know you know chicken.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you just a brief bio.
Yes,
just a little brief
bit.
bio.
Yeah.
Okay. I am an ordained minister as well as, a business coach. I'm married, have an awesome wife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is dynamic. I have 6 kids.
Oh.
Yes, shows you how dynamic she is. My oldest is 33. She's getting married in August, and I'm doing the officiating, and my wife is singing.
Oh, how beautiful.
All right. My wife is also a gospel recording artist.
Wonderful.
All right. And
wonderful.
So that's that, and we have 6 incredible kids. We just love them to death.
Wonderful.
They range in age from 33 to 17.
Oh my God.
All right, so
oh my
yes,
God.
they've kept us quite busy over the years. Quite busy indeed.
And yet you still have time to impact us.
Well,
entrepreneurs, small business owners.
I think that's a large credit, and unfortunately, people see me out front, so they don't recognize that if there's someone up front doing something and it seems as if what they're doing is dynamic, you need to look behind them and see what the impetus is. Mm-hmm. And besides my faith, the impetus is having one of the most incredibly patient families and selfless families in the world.
Yes.
I mean, they've had to give me up a whole lot to a whole lot of people over a whole lot of years, and it's worked out.
Jim, why you're an ordained minister, you have that responsibility. Why have you decided to devote your time and your life to empowering entrepreneur and small business people?
It's the whole aspect of empowering people, I believe, is what I was called for. Some people look and they try to model themselves out of people in the Bible, and it's based on things that they do, things that they feel are their purpose. And I believe that I model myself after someone who is fairly obscure, but Barnabas. All right, you know, it's we know all about Paul, and when you see Paul entering on the scene, who's there to introduce Paul? Who's there to give Paul guidance? And when you read and you look chronologically at the growth of the Pauline ministry, you would read in the Bible Paul, Barnabas and Paul, Barnabas and Paul, but then after a time it was Paul and Barnabas, Paul and Barnabas, and we know about the famous split in their ministry when Barnabas wanted to take his nephew Timothy along on another missions trip with he and Paul, and Paul was steadfast against it because Timothy had abandoned them on one of their other missions trips. So that caused them to split up. Paul went on with Silas. Barnabas went on with Timothy. Well, rather Mark. All right. Well, you don't hear any more about Barnabas or Mark for a long time. But then somewhere down the road, in one of the Pauline's letters, when he was writing from prison, he was saying, bring Mark, for he is very powerful and has been very supportive in the ministry. So you say, wow, what happened to Mark? This is the same kid that during a missions trip flaked out. Well, you see, he had an uncle by the name of Barnabas that had to go and teach him the ropes, had to empower him, had to lift him up.
Had to coach him.
Had to coach him. Had to coach him. Mark wasn't only very helpful to the ministry of Paul, but he was also very helpful to the ministry of the Apostle Peter. Why? Because the Gospel of the Gospel of Mark was written by Mark, as told to him by the Apostle Peter. So where did this kid get his nurturing and his support? How did he become empowered in this way? Someone had to be there for him. Someone had to come up alongside of him. And I feel that that's basically what my call is, whether it be because I'm also a theological educator, whether it be in that area, which is where I want to, after I finish up my secular work, where I will fully launch out and do my work there. I've always pictured myself going home, standing behind the lectern, training up ministers. All right.
You know, thank God, it's awesome when you read the scriptures and different people find different things from there. Well, it's amazing, you know.
Well, that's why you
the
can't.
Holy Book. The Holy Book is a great teacher.
And it's alive.
And it is in itself.
It's truly alive.
It's alive. It is alive.
It's truly alive.
And you know, we can have another 20 shows just talking about that.
Are you kidding?
In itself.
Are you kidding?
We
Absolutely.
We can just do that.
Absolutely. But that's how the same passion that I throw into teaching the Bible, I also throw into training up business owners. And it's important to do so because people think that what they do is the business. Couldn't be further from the truth. Michael Gerber, in his book, he wrote a large series of books, but E-Myth Revisited, Entrepreneurial Myth, E-Myth Revisited. He was talking about the three people that reside in each of us, and he wasn't talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. He was talking about the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. All right, the three traits that we have inside of us. And based on how strong we are in these particular traits are going to tell us whether or not we're going to be successful in business. So let's take a look at the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the one that sees afar off, sees needs, okay? There were three gentlemen getting ready to board an airplane. One was a banker, one was an entrepreneur, and the other was a Hell's Angel motorcyclist. So the three of them get onto this airplane and they sit down in their seats side by side. So after the plane takes off, there was a fly flying around the cabin. It lands in the lap of the banker. He swats it over and it falls into the lap of the entrepreneur. He swats it over and it falls into the lap of the biker. Biker picks it up, eats it. A few minutes later, another fly is buzzing around in the cabin. Flies around the face of the banker. The banker knocks it down into his lap, swats it over to the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur picks it up, looks at the biker, says, "Want to buy a fly?"
He saw an opportunity.
Entrepreneurs see opportunity.
That's right. God, the first time he didn't know he's going to have the fly. Opportunities.
So a person who has that strong entrepreneurial trait will see opportunities, sometimes light years before other people will. Right. They see the opportunities. They see what needs to be done to take advantage of that opportunity. People often ask me, how and where do you find success? And I heard this a long time, and it's absolutely true. The only place you can find success is at the intersection of opportunity and preparation.
That's right. That's right.
Right at that intersection, you will find success. That's right. So an entrepreneur will see what it is that has to be done, and then they'll back up and begin to prepare themselves.
That's right.
Then you look at the person that's got that strong manager's trait. They dot I's, cross T's, make sure that this stack is here and that stack is there. They work extremely well inside of the box. Extraordinarily orderly. Absolutely faithful and loyal.
Diligent.
Completely diligent, but they work inside of the box.
Yes.
Then you have the
box
technician.
Is the job.
That box is the job. Then you have the technician. See, the technician is the one out back that puts this thing together. And the thing that they put together is marvelous. They're real good at what they do. Here's the problem. At some point in time, the technician gets frustrated. I'm back here breaking my neck every single day, and I'm making this company millions of dollars. Well, I am fed up with this. I'm going out there and I'm going to work for myself. They quit the job and they go out there and they start a business. Really. And what tends to happen, as soon as they start that business, well, they never knew the entrepreneur, so they fire him. They can't stand the manager, so they fire him. And all that's left is them tinkering around, thinking that what they're doing is actually business. It's not. It's not. It's what you do. Period. Now, I'd like to talk about something that we call the typical business model.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we hear business model, it's usually, well, I do graphic design, so I'm going to model my business after this graphic design company. Or I do architecture, and I'm going to model my architectural practice after this practice. Well, that is a type of business model, but it's not the typical business model.
Mm-hmm.
The typical business model goes like this: number of leads times conversion rate equals numbers of transactions times average dollar sales equal revenue times margin equals gross profit minus fixed cost minus variable cost equals net profit. That's business. That's business. You're going to say, well, why is that business? People will tell you every day, oh, you know, I'm in business. I got to watch my bottom line. My bottom line, that's the net profit. I've got to watch my bottom line. When someone brings in their financials, and we're looking at their financials, and we'll take a look at the last 3 years of tax returns, and we do an analysis, do a side-by-side comparison. We might see on a particular year that they did very well, and then the next year, not so good in the next year. So we'll ask, you know, well, why is it that you did so well there? And how come you did so poorly here? Oh, well, you know, it's the economy. Well, no, wait a second. The economy is predictable.
Yeah, that's right.
The reason why is all they're focusing on is the bottom line, and they have no idea how to get there. Oh, they got to get to that bottom. Do you realize that jumping off the Empire State Building has never killed a soul? It's the sudden stop at the bottom that does it.
It's gravity meter, right?
All right. It's that sudden stop at the bottom. We tell business owners, wait a second. You're focusing on your net profit, but you absolutely have no idea of what it takes to get
it
there. That's where the business model comes in play. Let's look at that. Total number of leads. That requires marketing acumen. We tell our business owners that they need to have a minimum of 10 marketing strategies ongoing at all times. I laugh sometimes when I ask people, what do you do for marketing? They'll say, oh, we use word of mouth. Word of mouth is not a marketing strategy. Word of mouth is nothing more than the manifestation of good customer service. It is not in and of itself a marketing strategy.
Can that be considered the word of mouth as some form of testimonial?
Sure. A testimonial, somebody saying, oh, you need to use so-and-so's service because they're so good. Well, that word of mouth, that manifestation, that little testimonial that was given to a potential customer came from good customer service. That in and of itself is not a marketing strategy. All right. So when we look at marketing strategies, we're looking at advertising. We're looking at a number of different things you can do to market. But before you start developing things, I mean, people come up to me all the time and I'll say, what do you do for marketing? And they'll say, oh, we put flyers out. Well, first and foremost, what's on the flyer? Who's it going to? Where are you placing it? What time are you placing it? Oh, well, we're up and down, and we go downtown, and we place it in everybody's windshield. Well, let me ask you a question. What type of business do you do? Well, we do catering right in the community, or we do this, that, and the other in the community. Well, how many people who are parked in that downtown area actually live in the community? I don't know. Well, then, how do you know that they're not just taking it, boiling up, throwing it in the garbage because they're just passing through? It's about understanding your target market. It's about understanding the demographics, where they live, how much they earn, do they own their own home, all of those nice little neat things. And it's also looking at psychographics. Psychographics are they likely to purchase my product or my service? So you have to really understand your target market. Now, you understand your target market. What about your competition? You need to understand your competition. Okay, so what do you feel about your competition? Oh, I'm going to wipe them out. Wait a second, wait a second. First and foremost, have you done a competitive analysis? Have you compared their strengths against your strengths and their weaknesses against your weaknesses? All right? Because the idea is for you to niche yourself into the marketplace.
That's right.
So marketing takes more than running around throwing out flyers, all right? Marketing, and then once you have those strategies up and going, you need to monitor them. Monitoring your strategies to make certain they are effective. So now here you are, you're out there, you're doing robust marketing. People are now starting to build up and they're starting to come, and you're really excited about that. But you've worked all your life. You worked in the back room. You built something. The next thing is conversion rate.
Right.
Having a sales system in place. I ask people all the time, do you realize that being a business owner requires you to have some sales acumen? Here's a for instance. How long does it take you to sell your product or your service? Oh, well, I'll call somebody up, I'll meet with them, and okay, well, how long does that take? When can you count it a sale or a no-go? Oh, well, I just keep after them. I don't go after a no. I go after a yes every time. Well, if you can only convert, if your conversion or the typical conversion is, say, 30 out of 100, and you're spending all of your time trying to get someone to say yes, well, logic dictates that you go for the fast no.
That's right. So you can reach to your yes. So you can reach to your yes.
Absolutely. That requires you put together some sort of system where you can track where you are in the sales process. And not only where you are in the sales process, once the sale has been consummated, what are you doing post-sale? What are you doing to try to increase the number of transactions with the same customer more than one time? How are you establishing customer service? And on and on and on. This is all part of having a comprehensive sales system in place.
I don't think a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs get this kind of information and this kind of education. So, I just thank you so much, Jim, for traveling here to sharing this with us.
Well, I think it's extremely important. Extremely important. When you look at the staggering rate of business failures on an annual basis, well, every 2 years, they're saying that somewhere in the area of 75% of all startups fail. Now, over a 5-year period, when you accumulate all the numbers, the total is somewhere around 95%. So we hear these numbers, and we hear them all the time. They're reported by the SBA. And unless you start looking at what those numbers are, it pretty much doesn't sound like anything. But when you take into consideration that somewhere in the area of 3,000 new businesses start every day, wrap your brain around that. Wrap your brain around that.
And this number include all the multi-level businesses as well, home-based businesses?
New businesses.
Just new businesses across the board.
Period. And we're not talking industry. We're not talking type. We're talking new businesses. You go in.
That's phenomenal.
You
never think
exactly.
Per day.
Per day.
Per day. So
per
it's
day.
just simply showing that people are not comfortable with their JOBs, and people is looking.
But you know what? And here's the wonderful part about it, and what's incredible. If you understand the dynamics of the business model, if you understand what it is you need to understand, you'll be fine. You know, even if you didn't go into business, you know, writing a business plan, somebody will tell me, oh, I have a plan, and I'll say, let me see your business plan. So I'll read the business plan. Usually it takes me just a couple of minutes to tell me whether or not it's a real plan. And what's so pathetic about it is that the plans aren't complete. All right. They put the plan together. Why did they put it together? They want to borrow money. So it's not a business plan. It's a borrowing plan. All right. So what happens with that plan is that you then slap it together, or you hire somebody to put it together for you. You use it. You'll either get financing or you don't get financing. Either way, I've never seen those plans used. They end up on a shelf. Well, then it's not a business plan. It's a borrowing plan.
So, you know, we need different plans then. We need the borrowing plan, we need the business plan, we need the marketing plan. We need all of that.
How do you borrow if you don't know what you're borrowing?
What you're borrowing for. So, and most of us, we just focus on the money, and we leave all of those, and that's why you still get the money and you fail. Jim, we have only 5 minutes remaining in this episode. How would you like to summarize this episode, and then we move into episode 2? So this is episode 1 with Jim Nemley from the Better Business Builders in Hempstead, New York. So we have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay.
3 minutes. So
in 3 minutes time, let's
this.
summarize. Understand that what you do is not your business.
That's right.
What you do is just what you do. Business is understanding how to put together your number of leads, how to convert them, how to establish your margin, all right? You're in business, find out what your NAICS code is, your North American Industrial Code. Find out what that is. Find out what the margins are inside of your industry so you know how to price your business. Understand financials. It's absolutely important. If you're only seeing your accountant at the end of a quarter or at the end of the year, then your accountant is living up to his name. He's accounting for how you messed up your business. Understand
that is well said.
How to run your business week by week, month by month. Understand what's behind the numbers, and you can put anything in front of it. You'll have a profitable business.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Jim, how long have you been helping, assisting, and coaching small business owners?
Half my life.
Half your life. So, and I know you are about 25 years old.
I'm
so
about 25 since I was 12.
12 and a half, 12 and a half years old. Yeah, and then we will come back to part 2 with Jim Nemley. And you have been watching A New Day with Jim Nemley from the Better Business Builders. And we're talking about how to effectively run and operate a business. And when we come back for part 2 with Jim, he will talk to us about finances and the different aspects of that, and you know what we need to look for, how we need to get that. And we thank you for tuning into A New Day, your guide to personal empowerment. We are on Charter on Saturdays at 7 p.m. On Thursdays at noon. We are on Comcast here at home on Mondays at 7 p.m. On Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. And we are out in St. Louis, Missouri. We thank you again for watching.